Why seeing her hit by a Winnebago shattered my heart. One minute I was stamping invoices at the warehouse. The next, my cell lit up with my wife's number and a sound I had never heard from her, raw and shattered wailing. Between gasps, she managed 6 words. Willow ran, Winnebago, she is gone, and my knees buckled right there among the forklifts.
My heart hurts just hearing that. Did any part of you think she was mistaken?
I wanted to believe it, yet dread won. I broke every speed limit home and found the scene. Willow covered gently by my wife's trembling hands. Survival mode flipped on. I wrapped our pup in the purple fleece she always stole, carved a grave under the oak where she would nap after zoomies, then cycled through Liam, Sophie, and Noah, letting them cry and reminding them that big feelings do not scare dads.
All that strength. But be honest, did guilt hit you like a truck too?
Absolutely. When the family went inside, I stayed beneath the oak, hand on fresh soil, telling Willow every highlight she gifted us. The week I slept on the floor so she would trust, her Olympic-level food dances, the butterfly chases that made neighbors giggle. When words dried up, tears spoke. An hour later, I stood lighter, understanding grief is simply love, carrying pain. A story from Luck Vegetable 7096. What happened when I grilled a tomahawk steak on Zoom? I wake up every morning with coffee and ambition, but no solid food until the clock strikes noon. That midday ritual is the anchor of my workday, so I blocked my calendar from noon to 1. Then my manager Brian got a shiny new title and apparently a craving for power. He kept dropping status meetings right inside my lunch, ignoring the busy slot like it was a suggestion. At first, I swallowed my hunger, joined the calls, and told myself it was temporary. When the 3rd day in a row hit, my stomach growled so loud it shook my earbuds, and I realized the only thing on the menu was petty revenge.
Kyle, that moment when hunger meets office politics is the stuff of legends. Did you really brandish spaghetti like a sword?
I did, and it was glorious. The very next lunch meeting, I angled my webcam downward so Brian could see the steam curling off a mountain of spaghetti and meatballs. I twirled noodles with exaggerated flourish, let sauce drip onto my keyboard, and answered every question with a marinara grin. Mic hot, camera bright, 0 apologies. Brian looked offended, the developers looked delighted, and I looked well-fed. 2 days later, he hijacked noon once more, so I went finger food. Sticky buffalo wings, glaze glistening, each bite punctuated by the wet snap of cartilage. After the call, my inbox filled with cheering emojis from coworkers tired of calendar colonization. By the 3rd offense, I upgraded to pizza, extra cheese stretching across the webcam. Brian finally muttered that question about eating during calls. I smiled, quoted his own line about sacrifices, and crunched into the crust. That was the last midday meeting he ever scheduled. The internet soon discovered the tale and showered me with digital medals. Each reward became a dare to stage bigger culinary chaos. Sushi with dramatic slurps, bubbling fondue, a tomahawk steak carved live during the roadmap review, even a rotating smoker with disco lights. HR applauded from the chat, morale soared, and my home office morphed into a cooking channel. In one fabled retrospective, a conveyor belt of sushi circled behind me while my cat rode the trays like royalty. Through every stunt, Brian kept a respectful distance from my lunch hour.
Honestly, I respect the petty artistry, but if you got one more award, you might have hired a hibachi chef on a unicycle. Some people juggle work-life balance. You literally grilled it.
Probably, but here is the win. My lunch hour now sits untouched like a reserved beach chair. Brian schedules all team check-ins at 2, and coworkers drop popcorn emojis whenever I join, eager for an encore. I keep it modest now, maybe a sandwich and chips, because the lesson has been served. Respect people's time or watch them season their rebellion with olive oil and open mic. Sometimes the fastest way to fix a broken calendar is to eat loudly beside it. A story from Dodge Them.
How I secretly made her invisible on my wedding day. Picture this. My brother's pastel ceremony last year, where my whole clan obeyed the color code, flew across states, and even fluffed the bridesmaids' corsages, only to discover days later that the new sister-in-law had sliced every one of us from her public photos and 3-minute video. That is gut-punch cruel. You must have felt like an extra at your own family milestone. I asked politely for the siblings' snapshots she insisted never existed, then watched her rewrite history twice. Revenge simmered until my engagement half a year ago. I quietly booked a shooter who will shadow Carly the entire reception like loyal paparazzi, soaking her in light, convincing her the lens adores her. She will gush about the attention. But the final cut our families will watch later will not contain one single pixel of her face.
Savage artistry. What if she cries victim once the tape drops and drags the piece out of your marriage kickoff?
I will smile, sip champagne, and remind anyone who asks that she taught me the lesson of erasure first. The only preview she received was the misspelled invite landing on her porch, and even that flew over her head. When she finally notices her absence, she can discuss fairness with her mirror while I honeymoon in bliss. A story from Nude in the Garden.
Did my booty shorts push my jealous neighbor over the edge? 3 summers into living on Maple Crest Drive, I have an easy ritual. When the sun bakes the street, I run the mower across my lawn, shoes, shorts, and nothing else. Most of the guys on our block do the same, so I never thought twice about it.
But your new neighbor took personal offense to free vitamin D?
Turns out the wife across the road, Lisa, works from her dining room window and often stops to chat while I edge the flower beds. Nothing flirty really, just neighbor talk about sports scores and mulch prices. Last week I finish mowing, shirt soaked, and we gab while she waters petunias. Her husband Mark swings into the driveway, offers a stiff greeting, then disappears indoors. 2 hours later, my phone lights up with a direct message from Mark, dripping with wrath. He calls me a homewrecker, says proper men cover their chests, and demands I show some respect for his marriage. Apparently, he stalked my social media to find contact info.
That must have steamed your patience dry.
Oh, I was done being polite. I replied that his insecurity was not my laundry to fold, and suggested he step away from the keyboard. Then I planned my lawn day encore. 2 days later, the grass was barely longer, yet I wheeled out the mower wearing the tiniest electric blue running shorts I own. Still, no shirt. Lisa waved and giggled. Mark shut the blinds. I finished the yard feeling sun-kissed and fully vindicated. A story from a previous Reddit user. Did my fake hack make her pay me $1,500? 8 years ago, I was a broke 20-something fighting for a footing in copywriting when Lynn, a self-styled high elf artisan, asked me to create a landing page for her handmade room pendants, promising me 5% of every sale as payment in a clean performance deal and no money up front. I convinced myself that even pocket change would be worth a little glory for my portfolio, so I spent 2 intense days polishing copy, designing layout, and integrating it into her WordPress store.
You must have thought you stumbled onto a secret mint when the conversion numbers started dancing across your screen.
The ads she pushed behind the page lit up fast. Day 1, $120. Day 2, $200. Day 4, $360. By month end, that 2-day project had driven $6,000 in revenue, and I was giddy at the thought of $300 rolling in passively every 30 days. Then she ghosted me, emails unanswered, calls ignored, invoices evaporating in her spam folder while I watched live analytics confirm her steady cash flow.
Let me guess. You went full Phantom Menace the instant fate dropped a broken server right into your lap.
Exactly. One night, Lynn texted frantic that her site was down and begged me to fix whatever I was doing. I never touched a line of code, yet her suspicion was my leverage. I replied that conversation could resume once the overdue 5% reached me. On the call, I calmly recited her revenue total and requested almost $1,500. Within the hour, the wire arrived. I thanked her, advised calling the hosting company, and logged out richer and thoroughly avenged. A story from Claude Platypus. How one 5 p.m. exit exposed my boss's unpaid 20-minute scam. I joined a 10-person office team where the manager with grin and clipboard herded us into a conference room every afternoon at 4:55, letting laptops sleep while we sat unpaid until 5:15.
Let me guess. The paycheck missed that chit-chat bonus.
Exactly. My first payslip showed a neat 80 hours, none of the extra meetings. So the next evening, I waited 5 silent minutes. Rose announced a personal commitment and walked straight to the time clock while stunned coworkers watched.
And the boss just waved you off?
He did it first, but curiosity followed. I kept leaving colleagues copied, and soon nobody stayed past 5. With attendance evaporating, the manager moved his huddle to 4:40, finally respecting our paid time. One small stand changed the routine. A story from Executor of Judgment. What happened when I said no to the dinner table diaper? Picture 6 adults squeezed around my mother-in-law Carol's oak table, gravy boats sailing, conversations crisscrossing, when my sister-in-law Sarah beams across the roast and sings songs, "Uncle Mark, could you grab Emma's diaper for me?" My fork freezes because that sentence is code for please play volunteer parent.
Let me guess. Her husband Dave was 2 feet away scrolling sports scores, yet you suddenly became Diaper Ranger on call?
I breathe, smile, and reply, "Sorry, Sarah. I do not change diapers when the parents are present. I am happy to babysit, but this is your moment." The room turns into a library with the fire alarm pulled. Dave keeps scrolling. Mom Carol pretends to organize napkins. My wife Lisa kicks me under the table. In my head, I tally the years I hauled my own 3 kids through blowouts, packed their snacks, never outsourced the stinky parts. Setting a boundary now feels overdue, not rude.
The silence probably roared louder for Sarah than the baby ever could. Did your grin at least promise you still loved her while you stood your ground?
She blushes, grabs Emma, and disappears down the hallway. Dinner resumes in choppy whispers. Later, Lisa chides me in the driveway, but I remind her boundaries kept me sane through 3 toddlers. Family favors are sweet, but diaper duty is parent work. I will play uncle, not understudy. A story from late for an appointment. Why did I serve a cement gray gender reveal cake? I am Adam, 23, flour-coated half the week because the family keeps trusting me with their milestone desserts. And I never miss. Until my sister Emily rings me up glowing with baby news and begs for a headline-stealing gender reveal cake. Except she wants the revelation to surprise her too, which instantly sounds like someone asking for fireworks without handing over matches.
So you have to frost blindfolded, hope for the best, and still deliver 5-star taste? That feels unfair.
I sent polite texts, 2 of them, then an email follow-up, because email is my receipt, asking who held the envelope with the baby's secret, and Emily cheerfully replied that someone would handle it. Days passed. Mixer hummed. Oven warmed. Inbox stayed ghost town. On prep night, I faced vanilla layers and accepted fate. I dumped equal parts red and blue to chase every hint of hue away, whipped gray buttercream, pressed fondant clouds, and stepped back from a cake that looked like storm season.
Man, if they wanted fireworks, they got overcast weather instead.
Cutting time arrived under backyard fairy lights. Hush swept the relatives. Emily sliced in. Gray crumbs spilled, and the excitement flatlined. She yanked me behind the patio grill, demanding why I sabotaged her moment. I calmly tapped the cake box receipt that showed no gender file ever came. Mom fussed about family embarrassment, but I held my ground. You cannot bake secrets you never receive, and sometimes the fairest answer to a missing memo is plain gray truth. A story from Milk the Algorithm.